What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Blue Driver. Here's the deal. Your check engine light comes on. What are you going to do? Step 1, get yourself a Blue Driver Pro scan tool. Blue Driver can read all the computer systems in your vehicle, tell you what the problem is, and suggest solutions from a database of millions of ASE verified fixes. Then, fix the problem yourself or head to the garage armed with knowledge. Either way, you're in control. Plus, Blue Driver can do so much more than just read codes. View live data from your vehicle, read freeze frame and mode 6, do a smog check, stay up to date on recalls and service bulletins, and much, much more. That's why Blue Driver is the best-selling scan tool on Amazon. Don't just take our word for it. Check the thousands of positive reviews on Amazon. Reviews written by real people who saved a ton of time and money by using Blue Driver. For a very limited time, take advantage of our special Smoking Tire offer. Visit bluedriver.com/TST to get 10% off the Blue Driver Pro Scan Tool. Don't let your car troubles be a mystery again. Get Blue Driver today at bluedriver.com/TST. That's bluedriver.com/TST. And you know what I'm starting to see, folks? In the comments, in the videos, I'm starting to see people who have bought the Brio Beardscape and are super stoked on it. I've gotten DMs on Instagram that are like, Matt, you weren't actually kidding. This battery really does last forever. These blades really are this sharp. And you know what? I wasn't kidding, because I actually do advertise things on this show that work, and I do use the Brio Beardscape, and it's pretty much the only buzzer I've been using for the last year and change. It's got these ceramic blades. They stay nice and sharp. They don't cause the pinches or the pulls. You know, I hate those, and we don't have to worry about that anymore. It's got a really powerful motor, gets through my Middle Eastern Arab hair, no problem. I got the thickest beard on earth, folks, and this thing hacks through it like a chainsaw. It is money. And that battery, it's big. It's like a Tesla 100D big. It's got range, folks. It lasts, for me, the way I use a Beardscape, the battery lasts a year. If you shave every day, it's not going to last a year. But I shave once a week with this thing. I buzz myself, my whole head and face, and doing that, it lasts an entire year. Go to Brio for Life, BRIO, the number 4life.com, and use code SMOKING at checkout to get the best price on the Brio Beardscape. Take one home, give them as gifts. The holidays are coming up pretty soon. It's time to start thinking about that stuff and stocking up. Get them for your husband, your brother, your son, your nephews and nieces. Use them as stocking stuffers, folks. Brio4life.com. Use code SMOKING. And I got a couple other suggestions for you, folks. Autotempest.com if you're looking for a new car or a used car or a new used car. Autotempest.com searches all the online car sites at once. So you don't have to have 18 tabs going. You don't have to type in the same set of search criteria a dozen times. You go to Autotempest.com, you type that stuff in one time, it searches all the sites, right? Cars.com, Cars Direct, Car Soup, eBay Motors, and then it compares the results to all of Craigslist and Auto Trader. It is great. And Auto Tempest it saves you time. It saves you money, therefore, by saving you time. Because your time is valuable, folks. Don't waste it typing in the same information over and over. Go to Autotempest.com, save yourself some time, save yourself some money, and let the software work for you. Speaking of software, RaceChip takes advantage of the fact that most modern engines are using forced induction these days. And if you have a factory turbo or supercharged engine, by using RaceChip, you can possibly get an increase in power and torque of up to 30% and better fuel economy. That's how good computers are, folks. It's made in Germany, built and tested in Germany on the dyno, the racetrack, and the Autobahn. They're headquartered in Stuttgart and Munich, the home of the German auto industry, and Every RaceChip is easy plug-and-play installation in just 15 minutes. All the engine protection mechanisms are active because it doesn't modify the ECU itself. You can remove it quickly and easily, and after you remove it, the car goes completely back to stock condition, no trace. RaceChip is tested and approved by TÜV in Germany, much more stringent than in America. Several car magazines, TV shows, and content creators. You can get an up to 5-year warranty and a 30-day money-back money-back guarantee. Control the power of your car with the brand new Race Chip app. Hit them up on Instagram at Race Chip Tuning, right? They say chip twice. Race Chip Tuning. And if you want to increase the power of your car in a healthy way, choose Race Chip for quality made in Germany. Go to racechip.us. That's RACECHIP.us. And use code SMOKINGTIRE to get 10% off your order. Limited one per customer. That's code SMOKINGTIRE at racechip.us. Okay, on this episode of the podcast, Zack and I are back in studio. I have just returned from Houston, the Lamborghini Festival with 110 Lamborghinis, which was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. And I'm driving the Porsche Boxster Spyder, the new one with the new 4-liter engine. And we are taking your questions on the Smoking Tire Podcast.
What's going on? Me and Zack in studio. It has been some fucking day for me. I woke up at 3:40 a.m. in Houston after emceeing the Lamborghini Festival yesterday. So I had things to do today, and so I had to get back to Los Angeles. Oh my God. So I had the first flight out of Houston this morning. And I think I'm a little spoiled by LAX being like 10 minutes from Venice because, you know, George Bush Airport is like, not only is it the worst airport ever.
It's terrible.
It's like 30 minutes outside of, you know, Houston, even like West Houston. And so, you know, I get up at 3:45. So 3:45.
What time was your flight? 5?
My flight was at 6.
Oh, my
yeah.
God.
And I figured, you know, Delta Lounge it, no problem, diamond status. Bro, the Delta Lounge was in a different, like, terminal. Like, there wasn't even a Delta Lounge in the main terminal.
And that airport's shaped like a horseshoe, right?
Yeah.
You have to go, like, you have to take the train, but it only goes one direction.
Yeah, so it's not an option. So, and because of my desire to achieve diamond status for more years, I took Delta, which doesn't have a direct flight to Houston. And I was like, no problem. With my status, a layover in Salt Lake City is no big deal. So, but it was a long day. I got here at noon.
You landed at noon?
I landed at noon, and then I got home. I picked up that beautiful car outside, the Boxster Spyder, which is a lovely thing to come home to. Mm-hmm. But, you know, after, like, that early and that much transit, like, I just had no patience for anyone, and, like, the valet guys at, like, Wally Park or whatever it was were taking too long, and, like, I was just literally standing there by myself for, like, 5 minutes, and I was like, fucking guys, like, just so annoyed at the world. And I mean, you know, we're really into white people problems at this point, but it's like after 8 hours of traveling, you know, you're pretty annoyed.
That's a long time.
It's a long travel. It was a long one. And so then I went to work, and then I went to the gym, and now I'm here. So what time is it? It's 6 p.m. California time. So, you know, I'm on like
8:30.
I'm on like
Houston?
hour 16 of my work day right now. It's so I chose that. Like I knew what I was doing, even though it was rough. But it's all I'm saying is this thing right here and this thing right here, I fucking need both of these at the moment quite badly. Hi, Zack.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah. You know, but you know how it is. It's not like this is the trade-off, right? The reality of having the fun job is that these folks at the Lamborghini Festival, Scuderia Society that put it on, were great professionals, like would totally work with them again. I got referred by the HRE open house, the HRE guys who were a sponsor of this thing. And so it was basically like the HRE open house, but all Lamborghinis and in Houston. And they were like super professional. Event was great. Everybody was happy, like full family affair, kids, prizes, you know, the whole shebang. It was lovely. If you're in Houston, go next year. And they, you know, paid me well, paid me same day, like nothing, everything was great. Everything's gravy. You know what I mean? Like, what a lovely day at work.
Right.
And, but it's not about that. Mm-hmm. It's about the 2 days, the day before the gig and the day after the gig are both 4 a.m. days. And it's not like, I just want to reiterate, I love my job. I chose this. I booked my own flights. I'm not complaining. It was a reminder of myself today, like why I need to because I haven't done one of those in a while, where I go far away for one day of work, and I take the last flight in and the first flight out, and it's, and I was like, I gotta remind myself that like that is actually what the work is. The going to the car show and talking into a microphone and taking pictures with folks, like that's fun. That's not really work. That's just easy. That's just like be yourself at this thing. Like, okay, but it's the stress of 4 flights in 36 hours.
Are you out of practice logistically? Like sometimes I'll do the same thing where I'm like, I want my United points, so I will take this crazy detour to get it, and then as soon as I touch down, I go, oh, yeah, I fucked up. It's like way longer than I expected.
It wasn't way longer than I expected. It feels longer than it really is. Like, ultimately, going with Delta and doing all this bullshit saved me probably... Well, didn't save me. It probably cost me an hour and 20 minutes each direction. But I got 1 first class upgrade on the way out, so that was nice. That was a good one. I got the Delta Lounge on the way out, and during my layover. So like,
all right, that's
and I get and I'm like, they fuck with the algorithm, just like YouTube does and Facebook does. And all this. Like, they fuck with your miles algorithm. Like, so when you're approaching status, they make you. If it gets to November and you're like within spitting distance of of diamond, they'll like kind of hold you back and make you buy that big international business class ticket in December to fucking make it happen.
Sometimes I'll go into my United app and it's like your last flight was 2,500 miles, and it's like, but the qualifying miles of that flight were only 786.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you factor that? Like, well, taxiing takes a couple miles. You taxi for a little bit, so you got to cut that off. I don't know how they come up with these
They fuck
things.
with the algorithms, right? It's like there's classes of ticket that you buy, depending on. And I bought a ticket, the one I went to New York, to Carl's thing at La Cubana. That was a big ticket item.
Last minute to New York.
That was a last minute business class to New York, and it appeared good, but the MQMs, the status qualifying miles, they were not there.
Really?
I mean, they weren't 0, but it was like not. I don't know. Whatever.
That's very surprising.
Whatever. Delta, don't let me down. I've been loyal by a lot of flights. Don't fuck with me. But Lamborghini Festival.
What is happening in this photo from Instagram,
dude? So the Lamborghini Festival. The literal what is happening in this photo is a gentleman is playing the solo from "And I Ran," which is that Duran Duran. And I ran so far away.
I'm the wrong person to ask about this. I don't know who's saying anything.
I think it's Duran Duran.
Okay.
I think, but whatever. Even if it's not, I'm sorry. You all know the song. So it was like a cover band playing in the hotel. Someone's gonna see my knee on the camera and fucking write a dirty comment because I'm wearing shorts because it's hot out. So it was actually pretty smart. The entire Lamborghini Festival was in this sort of gentrified mall. Like they basically, it's like one of those outdoor malls that's like a mall, but it's not a mall because malls aren't cool anymore. So now they just build it all outside. It's like parks, and then the stores are outside, like Playa Vista.
Right.
It's the same thing, right? And there's a hotel in there too, and there's a Capitol Grill and a Panera and a park and a fountain, whatever. And so it was all there. So I flew in and I stayed in the hotel that was in the thing. I literally didn't leave the mall for the entire time I was there.
That's what they want.
I know, right? But they were able to pretty much take the whole thing over, and it was 109 Lamborghinis. I had assumed going in, I was like, it's Texas. They're all going to be new cars. Mm-hmm. No one's bringing anything old. But they did not disappoint. There was 9 Diablos. Or 8 Diablos, I think.
I saw you Diablo Row over here.
Row, yeah. So I was very happy to see that many Diablos. I haven't seen that many Diablos in one place in quite some time, actually. Texas came out with Diablos.
I remember when the SV was on the cover of like Road and Track, because it was like competing for fastest car of the year back then, and it was like that, and then also I think an E55 AMG and some other stuff. Like it was like 6 or 8 cars on the cover.
It would have been pre E55 because the Diablo SV is a 98.
Okay, so was it like CL?
It would have. 98? No, this would have been some Brabus crazy thing, probably. Yeah. Some V12 lunacy thing.
But the Lambo one back then was like a medium blue with bright orange SV on it. And
I love that one.
I was still acting like a kid, even though I was 17. I was like, yep, I'd buy that.
Cartoon car, yeah.
For sure.
So that Valentino was there.
Okay.
And he was judging the awards so that SV won best vintage. But get this, because I can't help myself. I went down that line of Diablos, looked at all their tires, date codes. It was 7. It wasn't 9. It was 7. Of the 7, 5 were substantially out of date.
Really?
Yeah. One was dated 2005. Bro, imagine driving around and one of the girls I met there, this girl Kayla, who was there. I was talking to her at dinner about the fucking car. I was like, yo, one of these cars had tires from 05. And she was like, really? Which one? And I was like, the red Diablo SC Special Edition 30th anniversary. She was like, I just went on the rally in that car. I was like, oh my God. I was like, don't get in that car ever again until that guy gets new tires.
And they're sitting in Texas, so the tires are just cooking and drying out.
Oh, dude, some of them had just you could see the dry rock cracks and
shininess.
Yeah. And I even had to do like a PSA. Like during the award ceremony, I was like, PSA, Diablo owners, I'm looking at all of you. And there was 2 Mercy owners there who had super 03 tires. One guy drove his Mercy, and he was bragging about how he drove this thing all over and shipped it all over the world, went on vacation, and the Mercy was beat. It was beat. I mean, beat like had like dents in it, beat. And
so he really does drive it all over the world.
Probably, but it had tires date coded 03.
Jeez.
It was, I called him out on it too. I was like, homie, you're fucking tired, because his car won the Kids' Choice Award, voted on by the kids.
Okay.
It was a Mercy that had signatures of cops all over it and a light bar on it. It was like a police fallen whatever tribute build kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And cool, you're like, no problem with that. Like, do your thing. It's all good. And the guy driving it it couldn't have been nicer and couldn't have been more enthusiastic. And he told me he'd owned 200 different Lamborghinis, which, like, fucking God bless. But then I looked at his tires. I was like, these tires are 03, homie. What are you doing? And he was like, they're original. And I was like, that's not good.
It's not good.
Nobody wants that.
You know what? There are cars that get old enough where that would be good to have for the museum.
Take them off, put them in bags.
In the bag, yeah.
No one says that shit needs to be on the car. You know how often like a Le Mans winning race car is sold with the Le Mans engine on a stand and like a GTO engineering in there so you can go have a good time with it and not worry about irreplaceable shit? But no, on a Mercy, who the fuck cares about the tires being original on a 2003 Mercy?
Well, also, when original tires are important, it's about selling and displaying the car. It's not about driving them on original tires.
Yeah.
So wouldn't you want to keep them in good condition and not eat up the tread by driving them around the world?
Yeah, listen.
That's the thing we need to fix.
I say it all the time, and I don't know if it falls on deaf ears, or I don't know if people just haven't heard enough. They don't understand the consequences of it. Like, I realize this is not a problem for most normal folks, because most normal folks, well, it could be. You could have an old muscle car, an old Chevelle, or whatever, any kind of collector car. It doesn't need to be expensive. It's just a car that doesn't get driven much, and where the tires look like they're okay. But if they're 5 years old, you have to get rid of them. You have to. I mean, and the risk goes up the faster the car is. You know what I mean? If it's some old like 50s Chevy you're driving in parades, like, okay, stretch it to 7 or 8 years, you're going 20 miles an hour, like, whatever. But if you're talking about a Lamborghini, you're taking on a Lamborghini rally, fucking dude.
Right. Where
dude,
you're probably going to go over 100 miles an hour at some point.
You are going to exit the road at an unbelievable speed at a time you are completely unprepared for that to happen. And that's how Paul and Roger died. That's exactly how Paul and Roger died.
Yeah.
They didn't die because they were speeding in an unsafe place. That's legally, that may have been an issue if they didn't die. But like morally and the laws of physics is like, that's not why they died.
It's something that, I mean, we talk about it a lot, but it's something that's not common knowledge in the car world.
Yeah.
Is like, as they get older and older and older, they get harder and harder and slipperier, and heat cycling is a problem. Like, I mean, people basically think about like, oh, well, if I see tiny cracks on the side, then I know it's time. It's like, it's probably time like well before that.
Well before that. Matter of fact, I was when I was in New York, I popped into my folks' place because we're shipping the Aston Martin out here, which I'm so excited about.
Sweet.
So excited about. Now I have somewhere to actually keep it. And my mom's Jaguar as well, that I love so much, is coming out here, not permanently. Until my parents' house is done. And so Hannah's going to drive that, which is actually she's great. Hannah's super stoked on it. She's like, I get a fucking Jag for 6 months? This is great. Like, because she's been driving the van. Which she's like almost over.
Oh,
no.
Fast.
No. She's not. But like she has to like commute to Orange County for a gig she's doing next week, and she's like, all right, thinking about like, all right, what am I going to drive? Because like I'm not driving the fucking van to Orange County. So, but when I was home, the first thing I did was like go check the Aston Martin tire date codes. Cause like, when did I get those fucking tires? Turns out they were date coded March 2015. Okay. So soon, but not just yet. I think we'll be okay.
The problem is you can't, like, if they get old enough, you could do a burnout to shred them off and then buy new ones, except you'd throw the belt on the car again.
Oh, the belt. That shit is so embarrassing. I gotta find the video of it. It still exists somewhere. There is still a video of it. I think fucking Larry has it. Maybe your Nat Mundy has it. The backstory about this, for those who've never heard before, I think probably goes back to 2007, maybe 8, 9, a long fucking time ago. Were you there? You weren't there, no. Right? Morningstar was there. And Gene Sanchez was there when they opened Grand Prix New York, the go-kart track in New York that I used to go to all the time. When we went to the grand opening, I brought the Aston Martin, and a couple people were getting a little silly and doing some burnouts and some donuts in the parking lot, because they have like a massive parking lot where you can do that kind of a thing. And so me, being the 2009 version of me, was now's the time to do some drifties in the Vanquish. Well, I learned what happens is in that car, I don't know why, it's a design flaw in the car, really, is that if you go from full opposite lock to full opposite lock, like as you would doing drifts or some donuts, it actually throws the accessory drive belt. So you lose power steering, you lose the alternator, you lose everything. The car takes a massive poo, is basically what happens. It keeps running for like a bit terribly, but you really
and it's not happy.
Yeah, but you can't really do anything. And so I thought, I was like, oh God, I really broke something badly. And then I realized quite quickly, I did it in front of a lot of people. It was really kind of embarrassing.
That sucks.
And then we found out later in Vicky Butler Henderson's Fifth Gear review of the Vanquish, she is trying to drift it on an airfield, and exactly the same thing happens to her twice on camera. It's part of the plot of the thing. She's doing this drift. The car takes a shit. I think they literally fly in technicians like on a helicopter, or at least they faked it for TV or something, because a helicopter lands and some guys in like tweed jackets get out, and they fix it, and then she goes out and does a couple more slides again, and it breaks again, and they fix it again, and she's like, all right, well, I guess you can't slide this car.
It just can't take it.
It just, something about the power steering pump or whatever. It's probably out of a fucking F-150. I mean, honestly, the fuel pump's out of an F-150. Why not the power steering pump? Like, that car doesn't have good steering feel. Car's good at a few things. Yeah, it's not a terrible
real good,
car.
Sounds good.
No, it's a lovely car, but like, you can be honest about what it is and what it isn't. It doesn't have good steering. It has massive Brembos that don't fucking stop it for shit. I mean, it's like, it's not. What? It's good at the thing that it does, which is cruise
Park.
60 to 160. Absolutely effortlessly, like a freight train,
and then stop very slowly.
Epic doing it. And if you find yourself a tunnel, you just let her fucking rip to 7, and it's just 5 to 7 is a completely different thing from below 5 in that car. It's epic.
It just sounds like magic.
That's third gear 70 to 105 is where you get that. And now that it's a stick, I mean, it's just. We'll do a video of it out here, of course.
How do you think it'll do in the canyons if, with a lot of back and forth?
I think it'll be fun on Angeles Crest. It'll be fun in the Angeles Forest. It'll not be fun at all in Malibu.
Too tight.
No, but me and Hannah are gonna do. Rob Ferretti announced. I don't know if he announced it publicly, but he fucking was texting me. I'll blow up his spot. I don't care. I'll promote it. Adventure Drives, summer 2020. We're gonna do Whistler, Banff. It's Seattle up into Canada. Yeah, and so this is the car.
You do it with that car?
Fuck
you should.
Yeah. You should do it too.
I should do it.
Yeah. You get a press car or whatever.
That'd be great.
You should do it. It'll be fun as well.
Oh, man. Mm-hmm. That's really cool.
So exciting that that's coming out. Mm-hmm. But I checked the tire. That was the point. I checked the tires because if they were out of date, I wanted to pre-order a set of tires.
All right, so you could use those tires up essentially on Adventure.
I'll get a new, or maybe I'll order a new set just before that. These tires are. I mean, these tires have, I don't know, 1,000 miles on them.
What size are they?
Normal. Maybe they're Are they 265 18? Are they? I didn't look. Can you please Google the 2003 Aston Martin Vanquish tire size? Because I frankly don't know. A funny thing about the tires, it's got a Super Sports on it, which we put on in England when they did the manual conversion, and they made me sign a waiver. They only wanted to put on the OEM tire. They would, because it was at the factory,
which are made of tweed,
which were Yokohama trash. I mean, they were not good. And I was like, no, Super Sports, duh.
Yeah.
And they were like, no. I was like, what do I have to do to make you put Super Sports on? And they said, if you sign a waiver of liability so that, if you have a crash, you can't say that there's the factory installed non-original equipment. I was like, folks, the equipment you're installing is substantially better than factory equipment. He's like, I know, but we need the signature. And I was like, whatever.
That's got to be a document and a legal thing that they have forever, and it applies to Versa, to Veyron.
Yeah.
Stock tire size on the 03 is 255 40 19s front, 285 40 19 rear.
Yeah, so not crazy.
No, not at all.
And by today's standards, that was pretty big for 03, but by today's standards, it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I was hoping they would fit 18s and I could buy them from you and roast them, but they're too big in every dimension.
Yeah, that won't work.
Fit on Armin's car.
Will they fit on Armin's car?
It's got 19s. The fronts would.
I'll donate.
The rears
I'm
would be
I'm happy to donate. Yeah. I don't think they'll fit on they won't fit on any of my other cars.
That'll be the perfect trip. I mean, it's a GT car, and you're going to literally grand tour Canada.
The best. Be the best. I have to convince Hannah that she has to drive stick, though. She said she would drive stick with me in the car. The caveat, she wouldn't take a stick car out alone.
Okay.
She would drive stick with me in the car.
And if you're doing something like that, you pull out of a gas station, you shift 3 times, and you're on like the highway. Correct. So it's an easy way to get used to it.
Yeah.
Instead of in town.
I need to really like make her drive more stick though.
Just have her watch that video.
Turns out there's a video series. No, she was good. She got good enough to go drive totally unsupervised in 20 minutes. I have no doubt that she could.
It's just a confidence thing.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't do it, then they kind of forget what they learned. They don't feel confident. They don't have the muscle memory, and
I don't think she wanted to end up in a situation where she was alone and she didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, oh no, this thing happened. Like, what do I do? Like, because I can calmly be like, clutch in, first gear, press the button.
Right.
Avert panic.
But the other thing is,
out in the middle of nowhere
for you
in
and
Canada.
I, it's like there's muscle memory. So we could be hitting go on a phone call at the same time as doing something else at the same time, and then still shifting. But for someone who's brand new, they have to consciously think, and then if there's any kind of curveball, that jumps out at them, like, and just lock up and pop clutch and stall car.
That happens to me. I can do 2 things at a time, not 3. If a third thing happens, like panic. Like this usually comes up when I'm attempting to parallel park and the phone rings. That's like that's really if I'm like talking to someone in the car, parallel park, and then the phone rings at the same time. I go into like full shutdown.
That's too many things. I turn the radio down when I parallel park. Like, it takes some focus.
Yeah, it's weird. Isn't it weird that we have to turn the radio down for like when you get to when you're looking for the address? Like, why do I need to turn the music down to look at addresses on a building? I don't know, but I do.
We need to focus. We know that our brain needs to hone in on that, and the music is distracting us.
You know who I should talk to about this? Joe Rogan, who I just booked for December 3rd.
Oh, really?
I'm going on his show on December 3rd.
Holy shit.
I'm gonna need to bring my producer. So I'll just show up and you'll just be there.
I'll just go. I'll be your driver, which you might need.
No, it'll be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got his new place.
I went to the new place last time.
Is it how
It's
big is
big.
it? Scale wise.
Probably like, it's pretty big. I mean, it's probably
Like your building big?
yeah. It's probably at least 10 or 11,000 square feet.
Wow.
Yeah, and it has a couple cars parked in there. It has a big gym. It has the fucking cryo tank.
He's got his cryo tank. I'll just go hang out in the cryo tank.
I think he has a cryo tank and a float tank.
Oh, float tank. I want to do that.
I think he has both.
I think he does.
An indoor archery range,
Sweet.
which is hilarious.
No,
and then
that's great.
The studio, and the studio is a room within the warehouse. It's a full framed out, drywalled in room.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, within the big open space.
That's amazing.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the dream. I mean, that'd be great.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. That's except it's like it's in the valley. But
I would take that trade off if I could. If I could,
For
archery
full
range, gym,
giant
I would,
man cave?
Yeah, of course I would.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have that here, minus the archery range
Gym?
and the gym and the float tank. But it's gonna be a big giant toy box full of cars with a really cool podcast.
That's true.
studio.
You might find a float tank in there.
There's gonna be a bar in it. I mean, our new podcast studio is gonna have like a actual bar.
That's a mental float tank. You just get drunk enough and you're like,
Yeah.
hey man, I'm anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
I got this Boxster Spyder.
Great. Well,
Did you drive it already? You
did.
commented on my post. Like, have you driven this car?
I
This
have.
actual blue car?
I drove it for B-roll stuff we were doing.
Oh, cool.
And it looked
I
so
just
much
got a
better
new picture
in
from
person.
outside the office. If you refresh the gram, since right before I walked in the door, I came in the door at 6:02, and I actually was in the parking lot at 6 o'clock. But I did this post, and that took a minute.
Like this, okay, the buttress, this whole rear half, I think this looks amazing.
It does.
I think
it looks ridiculous.
Great.
I'm super like when they brought it over, like the top was up, and it looks mostly like a normal Boxster with the top up. Like
Yeah.
the top kind of hides like all the cool little details. The front fascia is different. It has the GT front bumper and shit. But it wasn't really until, and like I said, I was extremely grumpy by the time they brought it around. I just got in it and drove it home. But when I got out of it, it's kind of a nice afternoon glow happening outside of the office. I was like, oh shit, this thing is fire.
Yeah.
Like, the color with the silver wheels, like
Color's
that,
great.
It works.
Yeah. This is like what I would want a open top roadster to look like.
Yeah.
Because it's not too crazy. Like the McLaren is very, very pretty, but it looks crazy because it's a McLaren. But this is kind of subtle. But I think the lines are just gorgeous.
Yeah, I've only driven it, like I drove from the airport home and then I just drove it over here, so I haven't really gone fast or anything in it, and I'm going to drive it a lot. I'm debating. We'll talk about that in a second, but it's really, it's comfortable. It looks great. The new engine. This is the Euro spec car, so this one is a demonstrator, but it's not exactly what we're getting in America. So the main difference is this filter thing that's in the exhaust in Europe. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm fucking blanking on what it's called. If it's like a particulate filter or something. It's a different exhaust, and it makes the engine, from what I gather, quiet enough. Or a lot. What's it called there? The particulate filter.
AECC? Is that what? No.
I don't know.
Gasoline particulate filter.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's something that European cars need, and or cars in Europe need, and the U.S. cars aren't going to get it.
Is it part of the muffler or
It's
above
part
it?
of the exhaust system.
That was why we thought that the M2's muffler, it makes the ass look dumpy because it's really low, and there's this big open space above it.
Yeah.
And the thought was it's for that filter.
Oh, that's an interesting thought, and I did notice that. Go back to the rear. I don't know if you can see the rear view on this car. Maybe go back to my garage photo from before. The exhaust tips are sort of low, like in general in the car. Like they're the whole exhaust setup is pretty low. So maybe it could be. We can like open the thing and like start poking around if we want. I learned at Peabody that it's okay if you like take panels off of press cars and look around.
Kamisa, it's just I'll start unplugging shit.
I think the lights might be different colors from U.S. colors or whatever, but it's close enough to what we're gonna get that for the most part I'm gonna get the experience down.
How long did it take you to take the top down?
The first time, so Frank sent me an email how to do it. I think if I was totally honest, with email in hand, 3 minutes. The first time. Now that I know how to do it, less than 60 seconds, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's from what I understand, it's a much better system than the last car.
Last one. It was very notoriously difficult.
Yeah, I think it's better. And when it's up, the car is fully sealed. I think the first Boxster Spyder, I don't know if you can fully seal those.
Wasn't it open in the back?
Yeah, this is not. This is a fully sealed car when the top is up.
Which you want because rain.
Now you don't have like the regular Boxster. The top has more insulating layers. So the Boxster Spyder, like when you have the top up, there's no like inside layer. You're literally looking at the metal shit in the top.
Okay.
It's one layer.
Gotcha.
For weight, right?
Right.
Because manual and whatever and compact. Like so like at first glance, like the top's pretty easy to get up and down, like easy enough where you'd be like, oh, maybe I could like year-round daily this. And maybe you could, but if it actually gets really cold, I suspect this top is really poorly insulated.
It's bad insulation
compared to the regular car.
What about noise on the highway? I don't know if you drove on the highway.
I did once with the top down.
Oh, okay.
I mean, with the top up, it was fine. Like it wasn't particularly loud, but I wasn't going fast either.
The material's very thin, so it's probably just, but you have to know that going in if you buy it.
It's real. The material's really thin, but also the car is really aerodynamic, and the engine, if you want it to be, is really quiet if you're cruising. Like it's already like for me, like I don't know what the US one sounds like again, but this exhaust would be on the floor in 2 seconds, and I'd be at BBI going, make me one that sounds like a 4-liter is really supposed to sound.
Did this have sport button? Sport exhaust?
It does.
Big difference, right?
Big difference, but still not enough.
Okay.
Still not enough. I mean, it's fine. It's not horrible or anything. Like you'd leave it in the. There's no. You can make it really quiet if you wanted to. It's even in loud mode. To me, it's still pretty quiet compared to like the GT3's 4-liter.
Oh yeah. I just remember when I drove it, I forgot we were doing exhaust passes, and I went, I need to hit the button, and it was a pretty marked difference.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Did it sound good in the flybys though?
I didn't watch the flybys. I just drove for it.
Oh, you don't know? You weren't standing on the outside.
No. But the handling was great. Like I thought it was really fun.
Yeah,
really fun.
I mean, there was nothing wrong with that department before.
No.
And I think is it not the same gears as before, right? Does it have new gears?
I don't know.
I haven't really checked, but it feels like, just as a first impression, feels like it has the same gears as the S. Not the same gears as the old GT4.
Which is good.
Which would make a big difference.
That's an old one.
I'll have to look that up. I haven't. I'm. This is the podcast, not the review, so I'm not prepared.
Yeah. No, and I didn't review it. I was, part of the B-roll team, and they said, "Hey, can you drive the car back and forth?"
Yeah. But so far, it's pretty badass, and I think it's a winner. The mid-engine cars are. Like, there's not a lot of reason to have, like, these big front-engine GT cars anymore because the mid-engine cars can do that.
True.
Like, they just can.
Now, does that also mean there's not a reason to have big rear-engine cars?
What do you mean?
Well,
you mean 911?
Right.
I think they've done a pretty good job, better job than they've done in the past of separating the 911 now with like the new interior and stuff like that. The 911 actually feels quite a bit bigger. Like,
oh yeah,
like a Boxster and a 996 don't feel like like a different size car. Really, they feel like you're driving about the same size car. The 911 feels a lot bigger than
Definitely
the Boxster
does.
now.
Definitely agree.
Yeah.
Because the same day we had a 996 GT3. God, the interior on those cars was bad. And and then we had a new 991 GT3, and the feel of rear engine, mid engine is just so clear. But I forget. But yeah, the size of the car.
Man forgets
of the
to put
911.
himself on camera when he's talking.
Also, hate
I
it.
understand.
So it's also
me too.
like there's a huge
We're
size
both
difference
trying to
with
avoid being
exactly.
on
We're like
camera.
dodging and back and forth. Like no, you go. No, you go.
Sorry.
Yeah, the 911 feels more upscale, feels more roomy. It feels like, oh, you got a 3-bedroom house now.
Yeah.
And the Boxster is a 2-bedroom. The dynamics though of mid versus rear is very clear.
Yeah.
Like once you start moving around and we were on a tight road, so slicing and dicing the corners, and it's just point and shoot a little bit easier instead of having to do that kind of like wait a second and then get on it coming out.
But the 992, they've done a really good job. Like when I was on the racetrack at Thunderhill with the yellow car, like you could really get on the brakes and initiate a slide with the brakes, and then just that 2% throttle would just maintain. Like, they've really figured out how to make it so you can get the advantage of a rear engine on the entry, but with way less pendulum-y scariness than ever before, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
That they've figured that out. Porsche is so fucking smart, dude. And they have such a chill-ass confidence about all this stuff. Like, the 911 is like, the new 911 is like so good, but it's just quietly the next one. Like, I mean, obviously there's marketing push and stuff, but it's not overtly flashy. It's not like, you know, some crazy radical design. It's just sort of this like nice, curvy, sort of simple, compared to something like the new Corvette, which is like fucking fighter planes, you know. I think I probably need to record a little like intro for the C8 thing that's sort of like, this was literally like my first impression of the car, and like maybe and like stick around for the end to hear me like share some other thoughts like after driving it for like more, because I definitely think my opinion on that car did change a bit the more I drove
throughout the week.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing. I mean, you know, the one take or, you know, one take on the track, whatever it is.
Because you never know.
Right.
Like, you never know when that might be your last chance to drive the car.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, one of the cars, like, I forget which car it was. It wasn't one of the ones that made the top 6, but like one of the cars, like right after I drove it, like the next dude who went out, like completely delaminated the tires and like done for the day. You know what I mean? So like that could have been, you know what I mean? So
that explains the fewer number of drive-bys of certain cars.
Yes. It was very difficult to get drive-bys, and especially because I had to shoot 6 one takes, you know, while not being in people's way that were more important than me.
Yeah.
And also do all this. So, you know, you do the best you can, and it is what it is. And obviously the P. Cody cars, like, I also contributed to the Road and Track article that there's going to be, you know, substantial coverage of all of these cars. But, you know, the Corvette especially, I think, well, it's embargoes in 2 days and the video goes up and it's on the same day. So, but without giving too much away, I don't think it is giving too much away, but I think that part of my first impression of the car included a lot of just sheer excitement at its existence. Mm-hmm. And I think, in order to give a more thorough review or whatever, I think there's probably some things to add at the end that are a little more like real and a little less maybe, let's call it, giddy.
Well, there's a couple of things, like you're excited about a new car, you know, depending on what you're driving, whether it's the C8 or if I get a fan car that I'm like, oh man,
yeah,
I've been wanting to drive this forever.
Yeah.
Does it suck? Yes, but like that's like what I should get to the end and go, this thing's terrible, but I love it so much it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then when you're on the track, you also have the adrenaline factor. So you're already like at a heightened kind of place because you're having fun and you're driving fast, and so it can definitely change your emotions.
Correct.
And then, you know, throughout the week you kind of talk to people and drive it a little bit more, and you calm down.
You drive it in different situations. You drive it. You coast. You're not full throttle or full brake. You know you're driving it in different road surfaces and different whatevers, and so you develop a more thorough picture, which is great for a magazine test. Not so great when you're trying to do a lot of videos and I probably would have liked to have made another video on the road doing transit, but it really wouldn't have been possible with the environment we were in. It was not a priority for the thing we were trying to do.
Yeah.
And I'm certain that there will be many, many, many more opportunities to drive Corvettes. I mean,
yeah, you'll get a press car for it.
There will be. Yeah, I'll get every version we will get to drive, and I'm excited for people to see all the reviews. I mean, I think it's undeniably an incredibly important car.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, I think. Well, I don't want to say anything else about it.
It's very hard because it's like, there's a lot to talk about.
It's hard because what is a drive impression and what is not a drive impression? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, so I think not a drive impression is I'm very happy that I was able to get in the car and get in a really good, comfortable driving position with a helmet on and not have to duck or dodge to see. I think that and there are people at the other end of the spectrum who were much shorter than me, up to almost a foot. I think there was someone who was like 5'5" or 5'6" driving, and they were able to drive it comfortably on the racetrack with a helmet on as well. So I think they did figure that out. So there's a lot of issues with tall guys who want to go to track days, or tall girls who want to go to track days, and so I can say it's not a driving impression, but if you're tall, probably up to 6'4", you can fit in it comfortably with a helmet on.
They have a wide market, and they do a good job of catering to that wide market. That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Where if you're an Italian car company, you go, well, fuck them.
Yeah, Lamborghini. Yeah, this is not the car's problem.
Take the top down, and then you have to have a robot. Right? It's not the car's problem. That was.
I made fun of the guy who won Best in Show. The one thing about the Lamborghini Festival that I was disappointed in was that the Best in Show winner was a brand new Aventador SVJ, which, don't get me wrong, it's a lovely car. So I had a great time in the SVJ. It's bad shit, but I
understand.
Not the most original choice.
It's like the award goes to the newest, most expensive one. Yeah.
And I gave the guy some shit too on stage, and I gave it to him. I was like, just so you know how much Lamborghini cares about its people. I was like, the SVJ is $650,000, no Bluetooth.
It's like if the Louvre only featured art by the most recent painting. So everyone's just outside like scribbling as fast as they can.
You know what was cool to see down there? A lot of young people buying late model cars. Like there was a lot of people, guys in their 30s driving well-kept Gallardos. And I thought that was cool. They drove them. What's really interesting about Texas, everybody's got their Instagram on their window.
Really?
All of them have the Instagram on the little quarter window.
Like follow me at the thing.
So many people. Mad Instagrammage all over the place. I don't know if you can see it. It's on a lot of them. It was very, very funny. And it was it's not Texas isn't the only place I've seen that. I see that from time to time in California, but it was very pervasive. And so I think there's a lot of Texas is a flashy culture. Big trucks, belts, all that shit.
Yeah.
They like a little jingle jangle.
What was it called? Like fringe, the stuff that the hanging leather on jackets and stuff.
Yeah. No, but it was a really interesting group of people. The non-owners, the Lamborghini owners were everyone that I met was super nice but I don't want to trivialize them by calling them, kind of predictable, but it was Lamborghini owners. We know who they are, but it was the people who came, the spectators. I thought it was a really nice, like super diverse, like great group of people. It was really cool. Young, old, black, white, brown, yellow, fucking everybody, women, men. It was lovely.
Were there some sweet like twin turbo, crazy standing mile Lambos there?
Less than I really thought.
Oh,
whoa. Was that the computer just have a poo, or was that you?
No, I just had a spasm.
I didn't look under a lot of hoods, but less than I would have guessed. I saw a couple supercharged cars. I think I saw one car that had a license plate that hinted there was boost involved, but...
Which cars were supercharged? Because usually it's turbos on Gallardos and stuff.
I saw 2 VF kits on Huracans.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is a great package.
Yes, it is.
I mean, if you want to just daily that shit in hot weather and beat the balls off it mercilessly, that's the kit you want.
I rode, you drove. That was nuts. That car was
insanely
crazy.
Fast. Yeah, it makes the Huracan as fast as a 720. That kit. It's like 30K. And it's just on an otherwise completely stock car. If you can call a Huracan a sleeper. It's not. It really.
In certain circles, it is, and then you bring it up to 720 standards, which is incredibly, incredibly fast.
But I loved the Diablos. There was a beautiful black Countach that came out. That guy, this guy was really funny. This Countach guy, he had just restored this car. He was some kind of a dealer, and it
cars or no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. And he clearly just showed up because he knew Valentino was going to be there, and he wanted to have Valentino look over some things on his restoration and see if they were like authentic or not.
Okay.
And so Valentino came over and started poking around and taking it apart a little bit. I mean, a little bit. Like it was a very nice job, but you know, this part, the valve cover is painted this color, and it should have been this color, and this exhaust is not original, and the heat shield thing around the exhaust tips was powder coated, and it should have been painted.
Oh, that's a cool detail.
That kind of stuff. And then he said the rear ride height was about 1.5 inches too high, and the guy was like, I don't know, I got the stock stuff. Like, I don't know how to make it lower. Like, what can we do? And so once he was done talking to Valentino, he just fucking dipped out.
Really?
He didn't even stick around.
Wow,
Yeah.
he just wanted to get free consulting.
Yeah, he just wanted the old Valentino consult.
And then he's got to go home and figure out how to cut springs out.
Yeah, well, he asked about cutting springs.
Don't do
he
that.
Goes, do I cut the springs? What do I do? And Valentino was like, no.
No.
I didn't listen to what the solution might be, but it wasn't. I will
Wow.
say that car had 47,000 kilometers on it, and it was a nice, clean car. It was good. And I talked to the owner, and he was a very nice guy, and very enthusiastic, and said he liked driving it. It just had that crazy expensive valve job, the $48,000 valve job, where you replace all the valves with new stainless steel valves. $1,000 a valve.
Woo.
It's 48 valves.
Woo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the set of valves alone is like 10 G's. But you have to take the whole thing apart.
Yeah. Jesus.
And you have to take the engine out of the car to do it, which
doesn't seem easy from top or bottom.
It comes out of the top with the gearbox on it.
That comes out of the top?
Yeah.
There's not enough space for that.
Dude, you got to have a special crane to do it.
And there's a lot of tilting happening, and there's a lot of whoa, stop. Jeez, that's nuts.
A lot of stress.
God, you lift the engine. Do they take the back tailpiece off so that's open? Okay.
Yeah. They disassemble like the rear bumper comes off, the trunk, obviously the wing and the trunk lid come off. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's kind of up and then backwards, not so much like.
It comes out at an angle. It doesn't need to clear the wing. They get rid of they take the wing off to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know how we're talking about putting cats in carriers? You're not dropping it in from the top through a hole. You're actually taking the whole thing off.
Yeah,
right? That's a little better.
I mean, the side pieces stay on. You take the engine cover off, and you take the trunk cover off, which has the wing attached to it. That's it.
Do not have this done in earthquake country.
They had to buy the special crane at GTO when David brought my car there to do it. They had to buy a crazy expensive crane to do it because they didn't own the crane.
Was the crane it had a heavier lift capacity than what they were using?
Yeah, I don't know why it's special, but it's special.
Okay.
I think this is the only car of that they work on where you have to take an engine that big and heavy out of the top with the gearbox on it, because I think the front engine cars you can drop the gearbox separately, and this one you can't.
Well, I mean, with the I've never obviously done an engine change in an Italian car, but when I took the engine
full of shit, by the way,
out of my 65 Pontiac, the cherry picker I was using had a weight limit of 780 pounds. And when we took it out of the car, if you pressed on the engine, the back wheels of the cherry picker would come off the ground.
Yeah.
And that was that's a huge iron block hunk of crap. But if you now have a V12 and then you're hanging the transmission off of it.
Well, think about how a regular engine cherry picker wouldn't even reach in there.
No. Yeah,
you have to get something way bigger.
Right.
It's like a rack that goes over the whole car.
Okay.
From both sides.
Oh,
you know
gotcha,
what I mean?
gotcha.
They lift it up like that. Yeah.
Jeez, that's a big piece of kit.
It's very gnarly. Yeah. But when he drove away, tell you what though, my car runs smoother. My car has a smooth, really smooth idle. That thing was a little kind of grumbly. Now
Was it
had a different exhaust.
Okay.
I wanted to hear him start it up because when you look at his exhaust, I looked underneath it. It looked amazing. Someone spent a lot of time welding that up. I was like, who makes this? And he's like, I have no idea. I'm like, all right. Well, mine sounds better. And I thought, I don't even particularly like how mine sounds. I'm talking with Fab Speed right now because they built Freddie's exhaust. And I was like, you want to do a Countach? And so we're trying to figure out how to do it. They want me to ship the car to Pennsylvania. I don't want an exhaust that badly. But I have the stock exhaust. It's not on the car. So I sent them pictures and I said, I'll ship you the stock one.
Wait, what exhaust is on your car?
There's a period Al Bertoni exhaust. This guy Al Bertoni was a Lamborghini tuner in the 80s and 90s, and he made exhausts for Countach's and Diablos, and so the first owner in '89 put this fucking exhaust on it, and that's what's on it. And I got the stock one in a box.
Okay.
So I have no idea what the stock one sounds like. I heard James Chen. He's got a stock exhaust. It sounds pretty nice, but mine sounds a little louder.
What's the tune you want to change? What do you not like?
I want it to be a little higher pitch. It's a pretty low rumble, and I have heard other exhausts on the same car that have a higher pitch, and Fab Speed is confident that they could make that happen. And they make a really nice bit of hardware. I mean, I called Ferretti, and Freddie, and a couple of the other exotic people that I know, Marco, but Tim. He said they all said they make great stuff. So they said they would custom make something for me, and I was like, "But you could make one for me and then sell them." He's like, "Fucking to who?"
To 6 people, if they want to.
Yeah, but they did say they would. If we promote.
What about cherry bombs? Did they make one for it?
Totally.
Like Flowmaster 40
Flowmaster.
series?
Someone saw it at a car show once and was like, "Were you gonna get a Borla on that?"
It is a dark art. I mean, we did that show with Richard Whitus from
Magnaflow. Yeah.
All about the engineering of exhaust and pulling the pulses out to increase horsepower, and then you get to the sound part of it, which is how thin is thickness of the metal, and are there resonators? Does it cross over? Like all these things that I don't really understand. I'm just repeating, and that is its own kind of science in music.
Totally, but Tim talking about that shit is crazy too. But that's all Fab Speed does. So I don't want to let the car out of my sight. I don't want to ship the car because I just don't. I don't know what's gonna happen to it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Dave had to do a clutch because too many people fucking loaded it on and off trucks and just fried the clutch.
Ooh.
That's how that car ended up with the engine out. Is because of stuff like that. For me, if I'm driving it, clutch is lifetime. I'm not gonna fry a clutch, but tow truck drivers definitely would.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I might send them the stock exhaust, which came off my car, so it will
Fitment's fine,
they can mill a jig off it or whatever.
True.
So we're trying to figure it out the best way, but I don't want to ship the car to Pennsylvania, but I'd love to have them do something. It'd be fucking cool.
Wow, that's cool. It'd be cool to have someone on to just talk about that science and music of designing an exhaust system. Take one V8 and you can make it sound like X, Y, and Z. And how do you do that? How do those things change?
You hear the V8 and the C8R?
No, I didn't.
Go on. Bosey's got a lot of on his Instagram. He's got a lot of videos of it, revving and shit. It's definitely dual overhead cam. It's definitely flat plane crank. So I don't know if they can just race on this engine and not homologate it eventually. But go further down. You'll see it's like these of the ass of the car. Turn up the volume. Can we hear? Listen to some C8R. Yeah, that does not sound like the stock one.
No, it doesn't. Wow.
That, right?
Sounds like a Ferrari.
Yeah. And now that's what we're talking about, right?
My eyes are open quite wide, people.
Go. He's got more videos. He's got the one on the left, I think, is it pulling away. Bro, we need Corvettes to sound more like this, don't we?
That's
cool. And the back looks way fucking better than in the race car. Fire up. That sounds the shit. Right?
Yeah, it sounds like a Ferrari.
That sounds like a Ferrari.
Wow.
That sounds great. That's like such a win. Please, let's have cars sound like, let's have the Corvettes that sound like that. So I don't know what they'll call it, but let's hope they make a streetable version of that engine.
Yeah.
Because now that the engine's in the back, right?
Yep.
Now, I mean, obviously low center of gravity is good, but there's no real reason that car shouldn't have a dual overhead cam engine in it at this point,
True.
right?
That's true.
A cam and block engine is a very utilitarian engine that serves a great purpose. And when the engine was in the front, it allowed you to have the lowest cowl height of any sports car out there, because you could just drop that engine right down. You'd have these big fucking heads on it like the Ford engines do. But now that it's in the back, fuck it, dude. Let's do some dual overhead cam. Let's do some flat plane crank. Let's see what we got. So let's get some revs out of this bitch. Because the Corvette, not a drive impression, I think is the lowest revving mid-engine car on sale right now. If you can call it on sale.
Was it 65?
67, I think, or 68. And even the Evora GT was 7.
Yeah. That would be rad.
Yeah.
And maybe either they probably wouldn't do it for a GS. It would probably be like maybe ZR1. It'd be super special.
Yeah. Well, I think
they
if they can figure out how to do a naturally aspirated version of that motor as a bump up from this, right? If this motor's 500 and they can sell us like a 600 maybe or something like a 580, 550, 560 flat plane crank revy ass motor
for like Z06.
Dude, because they might look at Porsche and go, listen, Porsche's got a turbo and Porsche's got a GT3. And these are both premium profit products. Mm-hmm. They might be able to divide the upgraded Corvette into the homologation, Corvette GT3 or whatever you call it, whatever you want to call it, race car, and then the Corvette ZR1, which have a twin turbo version of that same engine. And be 800 horsepower probably.
That's a very good point because Corvette's always had, the spec of the car has always been like linear or, one, it's just the base and then the next one and then the GS and then the Z06 and the ZR1 and it's like they're all in a line and the further you go along the line, it's always better than the one previous.
Right.
Whereas Porsche, it's the speed, the GT3 is a more track-oriented car than the turbo, but like in a straight line, the turbo is probably a little bit faster, but they work in parallel in terms of almost price and reach.
Different strokes for different folks.
You sell both to one person sometimes.
And you can sell both to one person.
Right.
That's true. Like if you built those two versions of the C8, you could sell two to a lot of folks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rich guys out there that choose to drive Corvettes and they could afford more expensive cars. And they choose to drive Corvettes and they would buy two. They'd be more likely to buy two than if you made one that was as well made as a GT3 and it costs as much as a GT3. You know what I mean?
That's very interesting. Ooh, I don't know, man. That'd be really cool. Yeah. Might as well. Why not? Why do the R&D, I guess, in racing if it's not going to trickle down?
I think some things will trickle down anyway, but I think that engine should fucking trickle the fuck right on down.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Get some trickling on. Get in the super chat. I want to answer your fucking questions for a few minutes. Oh, we got a lot?
We got a lot.
All right, don't get in the super chat. Get out of the super chat.
Everyone back away from the super chat.
Pull up your camera again because I'm going to move your camera to here. You're using the monitor cam. You're not even using this cam.
What am I using right now?
You're using the one on the monitor. You're not using this one.
No, that one's drunk.
Should we? Do you want this here?
No.
You want to use that?
I'll just use this.
All right. So I'm just gonna get this. Let me get this out of the way.
That's fine.
Can you zoom in? Sorry, folks. I know this fucking matters not a lick of shit to you guys. But can you zoom in more? Okay. Let's see. What do we got here? Zero Gravity says best diesel truck, mid or regular size that can be a daily and tow a 240 on a trailer to weekend track days. 25K or under. Upgraded interior would be nice. Bro, you want a diesel truck that mid or regular size that will daily drive and tow a 240 on a trailer for 25K or under?
I don't know the price of diesel trucks. I know they hold their value really well.
I don't think you're going to get a used mid-size, right? Like a Colorado or one of those. I don't think you're going to get those under 25K right now, right?
No, because those are 40 and they're too recent.
I would look at Dodge 2500s with the Cummins and the narrow body and the quad cab and buy the nicest, newest one of those you could afford.
What did Zack we won't remember.
He bought an old one.
He did.
He bought a real old one, but it worked.
Cummins has there's a certain generation, I don't know, start researching, but Cummins had like an era where they were super reliable and then they changed some of like the design of the block and it changed and it was not quite as much. I know that's a lot of hearsay, but just you're going to have to do your research. Because we don't know that much about diesel trucks. I mean,
I've driven them, and the best ride, which to me is the real, if you're not towing, like, because if it's a daily, like you're towing like 5% of the time.
Yes,
maybe. You know
and
what I mean?
Unladen truck can be really bad.
I would also recommend potentially not getting a diesel and getting a gas one because if you're dailying it, you really want a 1500 size truck and not a 20. Like a Super Duty sucks as a daily. It just does. And a regular 1500 can definitely tow a race car on an open trailer. Like a Tahoe can tow a race car on an open trailer. Like
totally.
I would strongly consider something like that.
Yeah, you don't need as much. Think about how often you go to the track.
Yeah.
And then you might want to reassess.
Yeah. Feldstone Nick says, rate the top 5 manufacturers by seat quality, purely on comfort, and only on common cars. Okay. Mercedes employs spinal engineers that design their cars. So the most comfortable, quote, normal car I've ever sat in is the Mercedes E-Class. All of them. as far as a regular seat goes. The regular E-Class seat is spectacular. Mercedes in general tends to have the best ergonomic seats in whatever they sell. They do a phenomenal job of that. And the one on the S-Class AMG, I don't know if we want to count that in your unattainable land, but I wrote a 2,500 word. I drove the S63 for a week, and then I wrote 2,500 words on the seat, and I didn't say a word about the car. Like, that's how great it was.
I mean, I found Lexus to be very, very comfortable. They're like a nice pillowy, supportive enough. I don't like BMW seats right now. I think they're too firm.
I think they're kind of falling off a little bit, the BMW ones. And the adjustability isn't kind of really where I want. The i8 seats were awful.
Yeah.
Audi typically does a good job unless you get the very base shitty seats. Like if you get any of the S-line seats, those are really good, or the multifunction ones are really good. Porsche, I mean, you don't have to buy, I mean, yes, it's pseudo exotic, but if you buy a 2007 911, you're going to get a great seat, and that's a $35,000 car. You know?
I like Dodge seats. Dodge product, like them,
SRT
and the SRT seat is amazing.
Is great.
That's a great seat.
Yeah. If you want the couch thing, the SRT seat is the best couch seat
for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Yeah. Nick Albo says, favorite car that you know is complete garbage, but you love them anyway. Oh, there's a lot.
GT500s.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You know what? That 06, what I drive, that 06 E55 AMG, that did so few things right. But it looked good and it sounded good and the interior looked pretty good. And so I would like that for a long time.
Yeah. Complete, I'm trying to think, a car that's complete garbage, but I love it anyway. You know, I'm tempted to say something like a Saab 900 Turbo, like those a 93. Suck. They're pretty crap, but like I kind of also love them.
Why do we like those? Is it because they were different?
They're weird and
eccentric?
Different. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's some things about them that were excellent. I mean, I have personal memories, like my neighbor Alex Shalik, he had one, a 93 convertible, final year, the 900 Aero convertible. It turns out it was very rare, but like it was kind of like the beater car for like, literally his mom was so chill with any of the neighborhood kids just taking it and driving. Like whenever we were like learning stick, like all of us learned on this car.
Wow.
And they were so cool about it. And no one ever crashed it or broke it or did anything stupid. We were always so appreciative that it existed. You know, like this was before I got my own car and I was still driving around like my mom's minivan. And so to go out in a convertible stick shift yellow Saab was like, oh yeah. Like, and the wraparound windshield was really cool.
That's a good thing. That
was
still a good
great.
thing.
The very zingy turbo with the boost gauge that was always moving around was great. I mean, it was fucking cool actually. Like, it's in hindsight, it's weird and funky and was not destined to live, but at the time it was very cool. And you know, DeLoreans are pretty shitty, but yes. I still love a good DeLorean. Most old Lotuses,
most old cars. Any car from the 60s I'll probably like, but they drive pretty poor.
Yeah. Treviso, what is our best, most memorable driving experience? Dude, I couldn't pick one.
Yeah, I can't.
I mean, if you want to talk about short-term highlights, Koenigseggs on runways, you know, that kind of thing.
All Cars Go to Heaven.
All Cars Go to Heaven. Yeah. I mean, both of those films were great fun.
I have a memorable low point. I almost head on into a semi because I tried to pass two other cars on like a mountain road when I was in college. I didn't like come close, but you know, I had to move back into my lane.
Yeah,
that's memorable.
There's memorable for bad reasons too. Yeah,
right.
I don't have one best one, dude. I live a charmed motherfucking life. I get to do a lot of bucket list shit. But I think, you know, driving the Lexus across country first time with Hannah was incredibly rewarding because
that's pretty cool.
We both kind of thought that it would die and we'd be stranded and have to find a way to get her home. And I was like, if this goes really badly, this girl will not stick with me. But you know, obviously it didn't go badly. It went very well. So that's a good one. Justin Hobbs says, should I hang on to my 2005 Mercedes C55 AMG? Would it be a future rad something or C-Class? But they did shove the big fucking V8 in there.
Yeah, I was a big fan of this when it came out.
I was a big fan of this car too. The biggest problem with this car is the one that came after it. What did that sell for?
$14 grand. This was on Bring a Trailer.
Yeah, recently?
2 years ago.
2017? Okay. I think these cars look great. They probably sound great. That 5.5 liter V8, 365 horsepower or so, in naturally aspirated form is incredibly understressed. And I think it's a classy, good-looking car that I think will age well. I would say that if you like driving it, and maybe you could do a couple of possibly reversible mods to it that would make it feel new and fresh again to you, hang on to it. You won't lose money. Is it all of a sudden going to go from being worth 14 grand on Bring a Trailer to 50 or 60? Probably not anytime soon. But I don't think it'll ever be worth much less than 14 grand. So I think if it runs well and doesn't cost you much to drive around in once in a while, I think it's probably kind of neat to keep for a fun car.
Yeah.
Alternatively, you could turn it into an interesting race car.
Yeah,
you could. It's not valuable enough that you shouldn't modify it.
Sound amazing.
Safari build. I think you'd have a fucking
cool.
awesome rallycross car with something like that. Cho Ray says, oh, thanks for not answering stupid questions. I do answer some of the stupid questions. Boxers or briefs? I wear 2 under Australian boxer briefs. They're from Australia, and they're very soft. Mr. Ricky Bobby says, I have a 2015 Camaro SS1LE and a 3rd kid on the way. I stay in Indiana, and if I trade in my car, do I get a Jeep SRT, Chevy SS, or a CTSV wagon? I also have a Chevy pickup truck for bad winters. Well,
you're gonna want to get yourself a condom. That's what you're gonna want to do. Just making fun of your name. This guy's a good time.
Yeah, I think the newer SRTs, the Jeep SRTs, are great.
Yeah,
they are lovely. Do not overlook the Durango SRT, which flies under the radar of the Jeep SRT and has a 3rd row, and Jason Camisa believes superior driving dynamics. Chevy SSs are great, but the CTSV wagon is a better version of that same experience, and if you can afford that, just buy that.
True. Harder to put kids into cars, I've heard. I don't, because like they're lower down. But
I don't know about that.
I don't know. None of these are all good options.
Yeah. I mean, my order would be, because you're actually going to drive it with kids in it, my order would be Jeep or Durango SRT, CTSV wagon is what I would say. Z-Wee says, I heard Camisa's spiel on why he prefers shorter gears. Matt, why do you prefer tall gears? Did I ever say that I prefer tall gears? I actually think if I had a choice, I like a medium.
Play the videotape.
I don't know. Did I say I would prefer tall gears?
I don't think so. But
I don't think I ever actually said that.
Because we've complained about the gearing in the Lotus is too tall.
Yeah.
Gearing in the GT4 famously too tall.
And then Sharkworks modified it with all this. They modified it correctly, and then they went too far.
It was too short.
The first thing they did was they changed 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and that made a huge difference. And they left 5th and 6th stock. Then the company that makes the gear set offered a 5th and 6th also, and they're like, "Fuck it, let's see what happens." And 5th and 6th are now like way too short, and at like 70 miles an hour, the car's turning like 4,800 RPM, 5,000 RPM.
Really?
Yeah, it's
That's
too short.
not good.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think I've only ever complained about short gears when they're like undrivably short, like in that Lancia Stratos race car that topped out at 66. Besides that,
that thing was probably raced and fitted with those gears because it was at a certain course.
Rally Monte Carlo.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's all about what are you doing with the car.
Yeah.
If you're on a racetrack, how often are you in 5th gear? How long do you spend in 5th gear? That would be the only reason to shorten 5th and 6th in those other cars.
Yeah. I don't have a preference for tall gears. I like a nice medium usable power band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Ben Nye says, I want to do some track days in my 2004 Mustang, but finances are limited. Would it be smart to buy a racing simulator for the price of a track weekend instead of actual track time? That's a tough call. Like, simulators are pretty fun. Like, Nick Steinman, my boy, I don't know. What do you think? Have you seen his sim?
Yeah.
What do you think it costs to build that?
I
10K maybe?
Yeah, if at the most, only because his computer is crazy overbuilt.
Yeah.
His wheel is
He's got a sick
really
Fanatic
strong
wheel, direct drive, with a 6-speed thing, a 6-speed shifter, and a handbrake, and a 3-pedal setup.
Corey Burns has a really high-level setup with shifter, handbrake, Fanatec, whatever, VR goggles if you want. He's got a set of course, all that stuff. He bought it off Craigslist from some parents that were selling it, but like I think his kit is worth a little bit over $2,000.
Oh, okay.
And
that's pretty affordable.
Yeah, it's like now if you get into this liquid cooled computer and you want the highest graphics operating at super high speed, like you're in a different league.
But his works with Xbox or his is a computer? It's computer. Assetto Corsa is computer. Yeah. I mean, every time I drive a really nice racing simulator, I'm reminded of how fun it is and how much I enjoy being able to just sit down in a chair and be in a racetrack or be in the canyons. Actually, it's really fun to drive, get a little drunk and take a Countach in the canyons virtually. Like, I love that. That's great. But like, it's not the real thing. It'll never be the real thing. And while there is... I don't want to, there's not a substitute for the real. There is sort of a substitute if you just can't get there, but nothing beats the real thing. So I would maybe try and find a way to get some real track time in. Even maybe it means save up and do a racing school in somebody else's car. You know what I mean? You don't need to, that way you don't spend the money prepping your whole car for 1 or 2 track days a year,
I think they can work in parallel if... instead of, if you're looking at the year and you're going, well, like if I do track days, I can only do 3 total. You should do 1, and then you could buy a simulator and then spend most of the year simulating and practicing the things you learn on the first one.
Yeah.
But that way you're also not, that way you're used to the G-forces when you get on a real track and you're not freaked out by it, because you spent the whole life in the simulator.
Try to find a balance if you can. But if you can get a really nice setup for 2K, that's... And 2K is the cost of that's a full track day weekend. That's less than I was expecting. So that's pretty good value.
Yeah.
Last you quite some time. Matt Campbell says, is the Veloster N good enough to justify trading in a paid off Stage 2 Fiesta ST for?
I say no, sir.
I think the real question here's the thing. Do you want a new car? That's the question. Has he had this Fiesta ST for 5 years? It's got 100,000 miles on it, and it's time for a new car, and he can't get a new Fiesta ST. What do you get next? If that's the question, yes. Get rid of your Fiesta ST if it's time for it to go. And a Veloster N with the performance pack and the diff and the brakes is really, really fun and a really, really good time. And I think absent a Fiesta ST next to it in the garage for direct comparison, you can have just as much fun in the Veloster.
I totally agree with that. I think my thought is the difference between them big enough to warrant, taking out a loan and all the financial side of it. Like, you get different gauges and like the center stacks. Like, it's a little bit more modern, but it's not like a fancy car inside. It's a nicely done car. But I think you're having a real good time in a Stage 2 Fiesta ST. The Veloster definitely will feel tighter and sharper. But
the experience is largely similar.
Close.
I wouldn't trade up from a Fiesta to a Veloster N for the experience difference. That is not worthwhile unless you already are mentally ready to get rid of the Fiesta and you want a newer version of that same kind of experience. Then yes, it's a lovely car.
That's
Veloster N rules. It's great fun for the money. Fucking 30 G's. That's so much car.
Yeah.
Nate says, wait, oh man, I'm worried is this a political statement? Hang on. We should all worry about the German manufacturers. The biggest profit motive between these brands and the car tier is a unique engine. As regulation moves towards cheap, boring electric. Oh, what will happen? I think what he's trying to say is we should worry that Germans will be regulated out of existence. Well, I think what is going to happen is the pedestrian regular cars will become electric and hybrid and distant and suck, and they will not be and then in the other end, they will sell very focused sports cars like the GT or the Spyder I'm driving now or the GT3. I mean, I think I don't like the direction BMW M is going. I haven't for a little while. and I'm still going that way. Audi RS is doing pretty good. Audi RS, they seem to be moving product. AMG has absolutely no problem moving product. I think they're trickling that badging way down the line, but and I think Porsche is very committed to selling GT cars and finding a way. If they have to electrify the entire rest of their lineup to keep selling GT cars, I think they probably will.
Yeah, well, they're already kind of dipping their toe in there with
They say the next generation 911 will be a hybrid,
right? Like they're preparing.
Yeah, which might not be so bad. I mean, I don't know. It might be bad, but it might not be so bad.
I bet it'll be fun.
It'll be different, but it'll be cool.
If the driving, I don't mean real fast, like the episode of Drive I was on with the EV cars aired on Sunday, and I drove like EV West drift car and the Sandrail. Mm-hmm. And if you were playing, like if you had headphones on that were playing a V8 like soundtrack, you'd be having just as much fun. The only thing you're missing is the sound.
Yeah.
But if the driving experience is exciting and fun, like I think you kind of come around pretty quickly. And they have to get all those pieces right. But I think if anyone's going to do it, Porsche's going to do it.
It's hard. Did the Cayenne Turbo, the video go up today? It did, didn't it? It went up like 2 hours ago, I think. I probably have to I'm so not used to doing this afternoon thing and doing other shit when the video goes up. I think I'm gonna go back to mornings, dude. I don't think I like this afternoon thing. I'm not really.
I texted you, but that's off. We can talk off.
Oh, that someone else did it in the mornings. Went back to mornings. Yeah, we tried this afternoon thing, and I think it's like okay, probably for the views. Did it not go up?
It didn't. It was scheduled for the 14th.
That's today. 4. At 4? That's 2 hours ago.
I don't know. It says private.
What the fuck, bro? Well, okay. I guess the video is going to go up tomorrow morning instead. Right? Oh no, it's there.
Oh, it's there.
Oh, it's there. Okay.
Sorry, in here it says private.
Okay. It's I don't know. I think I like it better in the morning. If for no other reason than wake up, make coffee, sit down, spread video on platforms. Mm-hmm. And it's not I can't insert that at 4 p.m. on every weekday.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fucking work that way. But sorry about that, folks. That's a little inside baseball for you, but here we are. Ed Estrella says, time to replace my Jetta TDI. I want to replace it with something with a warranty, so it has to be new or CPO. Any recommendations below $25K? I'm currently looking at new Jetta GLIs. I don't know. What is the question?
Accord.
I mean, what is the question here? What do you want out of it? Do you want the same thing as your Jetta offers? Get another fucking Jetta. Okay, problem solved. $25K gets you...
Get a Civic Si, brand new.
A Civic Si gets you probably some kind of nice Elantra.
Mm-hmm. Which is better looking.
I mean, there's nothing new under the sun in fuel-efficient sedans for 20...
I mean, the good news for him is that in the last 5 years since then, you can get gas cars that get really good gas mileage and dip into the 40s, and so you don't, for a while, the diesels were the only ones that were doing that. I don't know. I drove a new Civic Si. It was like $22,000, and it handled better than your Jetta does. It felt better. The interior was like a little bit cheaper feeling, or you could get a used Accord and it would feel more upscale. And those feel way lighter on their feet than I expected for what I think is a big sedan. That's what I know.
How much does the 4-cylinder manual transmission rear-wheel drive Genesis G70 cost? Because that is where I would start with sedans. Genesis G70 2-liter rear-wheel drive manual gearbox. That's what's up. I would totally start there. Or I'd even get a Veloster N. Stretch that $25K to $30K, get a Veloster N. This is going to be over 30. There's no way this thing is $25,000. Not a fucking chance. It's too nice. It's too nice. Bail
Base price
on it.
$37.
Yeah, sorry, bail. Maybe you can get good lease terms. I don't know.
85 months.
Clutch Chronicles answering your question, no. DM me. Rice Boy X says, I just drove my first supercar F430 off of Turo. I need this in my life, but I'm worried about price and maintenance. What else should I be looking at? R8s, Z06s, or is a 430 doable weekend canyon car? So here's the deal. What you need to do is look at the total ownership cost, which on modern Ferraris is quite low. Rob Ferretti talks about this quite a lot in his videos over Super Speeders. He has been through at least 5 different Ferrari 360s that he's bought in the mid to high $50,000 range, put 6,000 or 7,000 miles on over a year or two, and then he sells them at exactly the same money he paid for them. Ferraris, shockingly enough, have really small tires for considering their performance, and so replacing tires is surprisingly cheap on a Ferrari. The 430 and 360 do not need engine out services. You should definitely, if you're looking at a 430, make sure that it's either had a recent clutch service or that the clutch life is good. You get a PPI, but there's a lot of cars out there. They are actually quite reliable, believe it or not. I mean, from a powertrain perspective, they're quite reliable. The 430 has a problem cracking headers. They crack headers, but there's been a replacement available for that, so you want to see if the car has had that. I think you can buy a used 430 that's in good but driver condition. And you know, collector cars, like sports cars, have like stages, right? There's like the 0 to 1,000 mile museum piece. Then there's the 1,000 to like 5,000-6,000 mile, you know, high end collector, but still kind of broken in. Then above that, you know, 6 in a Ferrari, you know, maybe over 10 to 25,000. That's another price range. And then you've got a higher mileage car, 25K plus. So if you want to buy a 430 to own for a couple of years and drive regularly, buy one with 10 to 25,000 miles on it if you can afford that. If not, go for one with 30 or 35,000 miles with a good service record. I mean, Ferraris are pretty robust. You can drive them, and in fact, the more you drive them, the better they run. So a medium mileage, you know, 30, 40,000 miles, which would be high for a Ferrari, low for anything else, is going to be a great runner. And so you can get into that, you know, get a PPI, a pre-purchase inspection, so you know, no surprises, and buy the nicest one you can afford. Alternatively, R8s are great. I
wonder, do you know what the reliability is of those, like with Larry's? Because they have the 4.2, which sounds
the
amazing.
The early 4.2s, they're cheap.
Right?
Yeah, I don't really know about the maintenance. The V10s are very robust. You can get a V10 with a stick for like, I don't know, 125 grand. I mean,
that'd be pretty magical.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even less actually. I think that's what a Spyder might cost. But I mean, they're fun to drive too. Get one of them on Turo and have a go. I mean, you know, he already answered his own question in the first sentence. Drove my first supercar off of Turo. If you have decided that you now want to go buy one, go back to Turo and drive some other stuff. You know, you spend $500 or $600 driving a Gallardo for a day and an R8 for a day, and that $500 might save you $80,000 because you might decide, well, I like how that car looks, but I don't actually like driving it very much. So, but I think a lot of the recent crop of modern supercars are very drivable and usable, and at a price point right now where enthusiasts with a little bit of scratch can get into them. And if you've got the money to get into the car, you can drive it, have fun with it, and if you take care of it, keep your receipts and leave it stock, you can then get out of it. And so I recommend, if you need that in your life, get in the game, have some fun. Just, you know, don't like. Make sure you can fucking afford it, though. Be honest. Right. Be honest with your finances. They're not that bad to maintain if they've been kept up and they don't have any immediate needs. They don't need those crazy engine out services like the 355 did. 355 will fucking bankrupt a millionaire. I mean, they're gnarly. And I just had to talk someone off a fucking ledge, thinking they were like, oh, they wanted to invest 7 figures. And they thought a 959 would be the right place to do that. And I was like, do you, like, was that your poster car? Like, do you need a 959 in your life? You know, he goes, no, I just think it'll be a good investment. And I go, homie, nah, run. Because Jeff Swart, who was quite well off, basically was like, man, that 959 was cool, but that thing almost put me in the poorhouse. It's
so
apparently
rare.
The most expensive car to maintain that there is. Yeah. Yeah. So
it's just shy of a concept car. It feels like
pretty
you're
much.
trying to get
Yeah.
find
So
parts
many
that no one
advanced
has.
systems. Yeah. It's either Porsche Classic Center or Bruce Canepa, and they both know what they got.
Right. Exactly.
Sean Rolson says, wait, what? Oh, thank you. Just a thank you. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Nate says, just got back from Germany. I was inspired by Carl to buy an Explorer 2, but it's impossible to buy any sport Rolex in Germany. What is the best country to buy a watch on exchange rate and for savings? I mean,
Argentina.
yo, you can buy watches like if you travel a lot, like big international airports occasionally will have a sport watch around that you can buy and then not pay tax on because you're leaving the country. I mean, there's I have looked at watches all over the world. Every country I go to, I try to go to some watch stores and poke around because that's the stupid nerd thing that I do. I've never found better deals than I've been able to get from friendly dealers in America. You know, I develop good relationships with secondhand places and I buy secondhand. Every time I've gone to Europe to buy a watch, the exchange rate was not favorable. It might be a good time to go to England. Could be a good time to go to, I mean, if anywhere where there's a weak currency versus the dollar is going to be where you want to go because you can take advantage of that, and then you also get the VAT back when you leave. You know, when you leave the country. So, I mean, that's it fluctuates. Where the best country is depends on what country's not doing so great.
Yeah. Jeez.
But I've never really had a lot of luck shopping for watches internationally. In Dubai, there were no deals to be had. I didn't really look in Tokyo. I've heard that people, if you have an inside thing, Tokyo, but like you got to get to fucking Tokyo. So you know, so I don't know. I would say that if you want to become a watch collector, if you want to get a great watch, it would be easier to develop a relationship with somebody locally. Yeah, or to start by buying secondhand and just going, this is what it costs, whether it's used or a little over sticker or whatever, and go, okay, you know, pay the cost to be the boss, and now I'm in the game. So that's my best advice. I'm sorry if that's disappointing. Chris says Targa versus Coupe, air-cooled 911. Coupe for me. Coupe for me. Yep. Tim Baker says thoughts on. We already covered that earlier. I'm sorry, Tim. We don't need to discuss things twice. Can't fucking read. Hey guys, looking for automotive related literature to read during a long out of town trips for work. Blasting through Alex Roy's book. It's very good. That book H Point is really cool. It talks about the design of cars and how cars need to have certain requirements and why cars look the way they do. It's called H Point. That's great. If you never read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance or the Art of Racing in the Rain, those are great. I just read for the first time ever, I should give it to you, Kitchen Confidential.
Oh yeah,
Anthony Bourdain's
I'll
book.
definitely read
Have you
it.
ever read it?
No.
Yeah,
wanted
it's
to.
fucking great. I mean, it's really, really good. And I really like that. And I don't know. I don't read a lot of car books, honestly. I'm pretty carred
Speed
out.
Secrets.
Oh yeah, Speed Secrets,
which is just good if you want to learn how to drive fast, or hopefully learn how to drive fast.
Our friend Ryan Zumalin, his new book, Slow Car Fast, which is a defense of millennial car culture.
What about Niedermeyer's book?
Ed Niedermeyer's book, Ludicrous, the Tesla story. Oh, and I just read a book called Super Pumped: The Battle for Uber, which is fucking equally gnarls, dude. Tesla, Uber, and Theranos are all the same company.
Whoa.
Yeah,
I got to read that one.
Yeah.
And last was Peter O'Rourke.
PJ O'Rourke.
Peter O'Rourke, Driving
Yeah.
Like Crazy, right?
Yeah.
That book is so entertaining.
Yeah.
His stories in just Baja, the chapter alone.
Yeah,
like,
PJ
had me
O'Rourke,
hooked.
Hunter Thompson. Definitely some Hunter Thompson.
And Arsenal of Democracy, AJ Baim.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
About how Ford switched over to make bombers in World War II.
And
That was
24 Hour
fascinating.
War, the book on which the Ford vs. Ferrari movie is based, and does not give AJ any credit. They fucked him out of that one. Let's see. Jack says, university student in Vancouver. I love your city. Looking for a new car for 15,000 Canadian, sporty and stick. GTI, BRZ, Fiesta ST, etc. Fiesta ST, or if you want a rear drive car, BRZ. There's nothing new under the sun here, folks. Nothing new. I realize I appreciate your donations, but there is nothing new in this market. You should think of some better questions. It's like when people say, like, we have reviews of these. You can see 15 minutes of thoughts on them, and it's like, do you want a front drive experience, or I don't know.
I will happily take your money.
All right, fine. I guess it's been a fucking long day, and I just feel like I answer the same question.
It's been a 20-hour day, right?
So many
that was
times.
yesterday. Whatever.
Well, 3 a.m. Houston to
today.
7:30 p.m.
That's not
California.
I would just be grumpy and
asleep. Is that 20 hours? I think it's 20 hours. It's a lot of hours. Jay Owens says, is there much difference in the BMW S52 versus S54 drivetrain in terms of reliability? No. And performance? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Thinking of an E30 swap for DD and Track. I mean, if you're putting them in an E30, either one of those is going to be very fast.
Yes.
But is the S54 better? I mean, yeah, it's 100 more horsepower. 100 more.
But it's got vane nose, which the S52 doesn't, I believe. So it's a little more complicated.
But
that's
make
what I've
the
been
swap
told.
harder.
No. Fitment will be the same.
Yeah.
It's more of like getting OBD 1 and 2 to talk to each other. Like wiring will be more complicated in the S54.
Right.
And the engines themselves are more complicated, but it'll be so much faster.
Yeah, and you have a 6-speed, like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely E4. Definitely S54. Aaron Russell says, I mentioned that I would like a health monitor that attaches to a mechanical watch. Frederick Constant has released a clasp and a band that does that. Oh, all right, I'll check that out. A clasp and a band.
Interesting.
I mean, do I have to wear a Frederick Constant watch? Because that's a deal breaker. Can I fit that on my GMT? Because that would be great. I don't know. Zach can look in the background to see if that's. Are you doing a one take with a Noble, Zach? The owner is looking forward to it. You driving a Noble?
Eventually. I think he's in NorCal.
Okay,
so
cool.
I want to so badly.
Let's see. 81 says, in your personal preferences, why would you bother having a front engine car for spirited driving anymore, or is mid engine that much better dynamically? For me, I'm not buying front engine cars ever again.
Really?
I mean, not sports cars. No.
Wow.
I have never driven really any front engine car that I found to be really as rewarding to drive and also have the ride quality that I want. Like the Ferrari 812 and the ZR1 and shit, like those are sharp and as fast as I'd ever want to go. But they're also very stiff, and they have like kind of weird packaging issues. Like the 812 is like really big, and there's less leg room than the 488. Like, why is that? Because there's a giant fucking V12 behind the front axle. So like,
that's true.
At a certain point, you just kind of like, and I love the 812, but like, you know, I don't think the 812 is better than the 488. I think is a better sports car. So personally, and after driving all those cars at the P. Cody and back to back on the track, I was like, front engine's just like not really doing it for me anymore. It's personal preference.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this lately. Like, I have less experience in mid-engine cars than you do. The more I experience them, the more I recognize their benefit.
You turned to the screen, and so now you're not on it anymore.
There you go. Visibility's better. Like, the handling can be better. But I think I'm not sure if it's just that I've grown up driving front engine cars and played with them a lot. So I like the dynamic. Like, I like that there's almost a stake in the ground in front of you that you can rotate around if you want to.
Yeah.
Or if it's a lack of experience in other ones and me kind of seeing the light. I'm not sure. Like, I really like the way front engine cars feel.
I mean, if I was doing a lot of drifting like that at that task, yes, I prefer a front engine rear drive car. But I think when I'm up in the canyons, combined with when I'm driving around town, I don't find really any advantage to having a front drive.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just me.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Do we have a lot? I'm running really low on Steam.
Wait,
I might have to.
Where it jumped.
I might have to. I think we're. Oh my god, we have so many. I might have to just call the game. We can. Can we leave this window up and just get to it next time?
We can screen grab it.
Let me just see if there's. Let me scroll down. I really appreciate everybody's donations, and if I had the energy, I would answer every single question right now. But I just don't think I. What's the best movie car to use for winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans? The Speed Racer car. Duh.
Because it would probably actually win.
There's a movie called The Last Drive. No, The Last Drive. The Last Race. It's called The Last Race. Get the movie poster from The Last Race. It's from like 1980, I don't know, 3. And the hero car is a Le Mans car. Right? Is that it? 1983? No. Maybe not.
This is that documentary they did about.
Oh shit, that's not it. Maybe it's The Last Drive. Try The Last Drive. Anyway, fuck, I don't know. It's The Last Race. Fuck. It's basically the hero of the movie in a post-apocalyptic society where people are no longer allowed to drive their own cars, has stashed away in pieces a Porsche Can-Am race car that he then reassembles and goes to drive cross country in it, and is like being chased by like fighter planes.
Whoa.
Fucking yeah.
Oh, that sounds
it's like some corny 80s movie, but it does actually involve the a Le Mans car. So I would say that.
I'm going with this. It's the wedge car from Fast and Furious, and I'll tell you what, I'm just going to turn around to the starting line. Everyone's going to drive over me and flip over, and then I can just kind of walk my way to the finish line.
I like it. I like where your head's at, and you really understood the spirit of that question better than I did. Oh boy. Red Jalopy says, I talked you out of a GT500. I'm looking at a GT350R. Good choice. Do I plan on driving the 2020 model? Yes, eventually when they come to California. I think Motor Trend has had that car on lockdown for like a month. They'll probably be done with it soon, and I'll get to go. Why didn't I buy one? I didn't buy one because at the time I needed a car, which is when I got the Focus RS. Nobody wanted to sell me one at a reasonable price. Everybody was gouging. And then by the time the prices came down, I didn't need a car anymore, and I was buying Porsches, and I am just not going back now. But yeah, tires after the Cup 2s burn out. Pilot Sport 4S. That's what you want. Anything else we can get to? All right. Everyone else has some really nice questions, but they're all just really general vehicle purchasing questions, and unfortunately, as much as I want to answer all of them, I'm not going to, because I'm on hour 20, and I'm just too tired. So Zach will take a screenshot, and if we have a slow show later in the week, we'll come back to these, and your donations will not be for naught. But I'm going to call the game there. So this has been the Smoking Tire Podcast. Tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, Tuesday, October 15th at 5 p.m., we got Justin Bell live in studio. Justin is a racing driver. He's a TV host. He's a commentator. He is the son of a racing driver as well. Both of them Le Mans legends, and he's going to be a good guest to have on the show. So this has been the Smoking Tire Podcast, and it's powered by Shout Engine. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. It's easy. All you need is a microphone, connection to the internet, and ideally something to say. Thank you for listening, folks. And for those of you with us live, we'll see you back here, not the same time, 5 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. Good day.